Hey y'all, hey, it's JJ Conway. Welcome to Building Wealth Together, where our goal is to help you walk in abundance and leave a legacy. It's Saturday morning, so you know what that means. It's time for Juice with JJ, where we talk about things that make you go, Hey everybody, welcome to Juice with JJ. This is the fourth part of a four-part series about when helping others actually hurts ourselves. We've been talking about how to know if you're the kind of person who gives to others at your own expense. And so if you've missed the other episodes, please go back to buildingwealthtogether.com, press podcast, and you can download episode 82, 85, and 88. In episode 82, we started off with the research of therapist Deborah Ward, and we talked about how highly sensitive people tend to help others, even if it hurts themselves, because they tend to attract people into their lives that need help. This is because, one, they remind us of someone from our past, and either we want to fix the past or we have great sentiment for that person. Two, we're rescuers, which can often be because we only feel self-worth when others need us or when we're helping someone. Or three, we're so focused on the goal instead of the person that we don't see that the person is no longer worthy of helping us to the goal. Now, most of us listening, we have accomplished a lot and we love to help people. We have big hearts and big callings. And so we hear these things and we say, oh, no, that's not me. That's not me. I'm balanced and I have good boundaries. Well, that's the lie I used to tell myself. And so what I did is I started listing for you guys my 7 indicators that you have fallen into this trap of helping others at your own expense or to your own detriment. And some of them are kind of tricky. And so I'm inviting you to thoughtfully meditate or even authentically journal about them. So the first 6 that we've covered were: 1, you have nothing for yourself, but you always somehow have to give to others. And that could be your resources, your time, or your energy. 2, you spend a ton of money or time chasing after the next course or the next person to help you succeed when you haven't fully used the tools right in front of you. See, a lot of times we blame that on procrastination, but what procrastination usually is a lack of confidence in our ability to get the job done. Number 3, your primary love relationships, your spouse, your kids, things like that, are precarious, but you keep taking in more strays and projects rather than doing the hard work to fix your relationship with your spouse and kids. Ooh, I was so guilty of this. Number 4, you don't charge for your services, and not because it's a strategic move, but because you just don't feel comfortable asking, don't know how to ask, and ultimately, you don't feel like you're worth it. I had all the degrees, certifications, and experience, but I didn't feel worth it. Number 5 was you beat yourself up inside more than once a day. Now, I'm not talking about evaluated experience where we're taking a look at what didn't go right and we're learning from it and moving on. But some of you know what it's like to beat yourself up once an hour, once every 5 minutes. And that's no way to live. So we talked about that. And then number 6, we talked about how people that you helped are getting ahead, but you're not, and they're not giving you any shout outs. You're changing lives and you're getting nothing in return. And I understand that this seems a little rude, I guess. There's another word I want to use, but I'm not sure it fits. Because we don't want to be one of those people that helps people to get something back. But in order to succeed in life, we have to be strategic with our limited time and resources. And so I want you to be successful. I'm excited to be a part of your calling and helping you get to where you want to go. I generally have a great time helping people learn about money. When I see that light bulb go off in their head and they've got it, and I know in 4, 5, 6, 7 years they're going to be financially independent, I get super excited. But I also have obligations to my family and to my responsibilities to my congregation that I have to tend to them. And so we have to make sure that the exchange we're getting is worth it. All right, so that's our summary for my indicators number 1 through 6. Now let's move on to number 7. Number 7 on my list of indicators that you are falling prey to this trap of helping others at your own expense or to your own detriment is actually really tough for me to share with you because up until my 40s, this was me. Number 7 is, if you've ever said about something you do, if I can help even just one person with this, then it's worth it. Have you ever said that? If you've ever said that about something you're doing, then you may have fallen into this trap. Oh, if I could just help just one person with this, then it's worth it. No, it's not. The highlight of your life can't possibly be that you helped someone one time back in 1993, and that made your teenager becoming resentful because you never paid her any attention all worth it. It's not worth it. Or here's another one. You suffered in an abusive relationship for decades. It's going to be worth it one day because you know you're going to be able to help someone else going through the same thing. Some of you are going to be mad at me for saying this, but I think this is a lie straight from the pit of hell, designed to keep us accepting abusive and disrespectful behavior from those who are supposed to love us. It keeps us living lackluster lives with low quality relationships. We lie to ourselves this way rather than take responsibility of crafting our life into what we want it to be. Now, some of you, like me 10 years ago, didn't even know until now that you could craft the life you dream of because you, like me, grew up with a que sera mentality. Whatever will be, the future's not ours to see. That's how the song goes, right? But my God tells me in the Bible to be confident, Philippians 1:6, to be in health and prosper, 3 John 1:2. When you are prospering, confident, in health, you don't spend time that is so sad or disappointing in your mind that you have to say things like, well, if I could just help one child, it's worth it. When you are prospering, confident, and in health, life flows from you like a river of living water, and you're helping more than just one child. And you're not miserable. Now, I'm not saying we don't go through things. Anybody who knows me personally, you know these last 3 years have been redonkulous, all right? Even without COVID, even without the 2020 everybody else is going. Actually, 2020's probably been a better year for me than 2019 and 2018 were, that's for sure, all right? So rain falls in our life sometimes, okay? Yes, it does. But you don't have to be miserable and console yourself with, well, one day I'll help somebody. You don't spend $1,000 you don't have when life is flowing from your belly. You don't spend $1,000 you don't have, which sets your family back for years financially so you can help one child go to a better school and then tell yourself it's worth it because, even though the other 19 kids didn't value what you had to offer, you helped that one kid. Let me tell you something. I've been that one kid. And people that have the drive to succeed will find a way to succeed. And the Lord will put the right people in their place. I'm very thankful for the people that God has put in my path, and I don't even know who all of them are, but I know they're there. And I say that because I've been the person in the back room helping someone else get ahead, and they'll never know it. But the ones I do know, I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for Mrs. Gilmore, who taught me how to understand what I was reading in second grade instead of giving up on me like all the other teachers. And I have their written notes to prove they gave up on me. I'm thankful for Mr. Peha in sixth grade, who taught us how to relax because even in the 1980s, he saw that kids were far more stressed than they'd ever been. I'm thankful for Mr. Rogers, who when my mom was too worried that something bad would happen to me, so she didn't let me go with the other kids to chip off a piece of the Berlin Wall, he brought me back my own peace. I'm thankful for whoever it was that decided that even though I almost failed algebra 7th grade, the year my parents divorced, that they would move me on to trigonometry. I don't know who they are. I just remember being pulled aside and being told by a teacher that someone said I was bright and they were going to move me ahead anyway, but they should have kept me behind and made me repeat the class. And guess what? I've been a physicist in the Air Force for over 23 years. I did math for a living, all because someone pushed me ahead when they really didn't have to, and I loved what I learned in 8th and 9th grade trig and geometry. I'm thankful for the guy who would let us spend all day in the George Air Force Base Youth Center, even though our parents couldn't afford to buy us a membership. He kept us out of a lot of trouble because we had somewhere wholesome to go instead of being idle children on the street. Another one, I'm the kid that no one ever thought anything of. I was the one that was lost in the corner and that nobody really liked, right? And I'm so thankful for those who stepped in at the right time in the right place, who made a difference. I'm thankful for General Hopper, who saw through the bull of everyone trying to make up reasons to run me out of the Air Force Academy. And he moved me to a new squadron where I thrived instead of giving them what they wanted. Did I ever tell you all the story about how I almost got kicked out of the Air Force Academy? They have an honor code that says we won't lie, steal, or cheat, nor tolerate among us anyone who does. I got an honor hit for freshman year for playing a practical joke to my roommate. So I was on probation for most of my freshman year, right? Well, if you get 2 honor hits, they kick you out. My roommate planted another classmate's CD in my stuff, and they tried to kick me out for stealing it. Interestingly, they didn't even punish her after she confessed, but they were going to kick me out for the whole thing. One person made a difference in my life that they didn't have to. I'm thankful to the late Dr. Sheryl Lewing, who one day asked if I would come sit with her during chemo since her daughter was living across the country. And all of a sudden, she starts pouring all this business instruction into me, explaining to me how she started the McKinney Bird Academy and how to do business as a Black woman in the South. We were in a walking group together. I had no idea that she had all of this in her. I was just trying to be nice. And that woman changed my business from failing to thriving. It's one of the reasons why I say if you impact the lives of others, your legacy remains forever. And I teach people what she taught me. She lives on in each of my students. Oh my goodness, y'all. There are so many more who've blessed me. I could go on all day. I think about Pastor and Minister Hudson feeding me after every Bible study and Sunday service when I was a broke college student. I think about how Mother Eula used to give me so many bags of clothes for little man. I think about the members of New Covenant under Pastor Augustus Russell who supported me after I found myself divorced with over $845,000 of debt. And I know I can't remember everyone's names from that church because it was such a horrible time of my life, but I lift them up for prayer from time to time because I remember people randomly inviting me over to dinner. I remember people giving me clothes for my kid. They didn't have to do those things. I didn't even really have time to bond with anybody. I'll never forget how First Lady Vera Miller during that time mailed me some encouragement. She was the only person in all of my former churches to even send me any kind of encouragement. And I lost a lot of friends over how people treated me after that divorce. I'll never forget her encouragement. So when I say stop giving to others' expense, I'm not telling you to stop being a nice person. I'm not saying don't give it all. I'm saying only give what you have and prioritize having something from which to give. Because let me tell you what these people didn't do. Not one of these people I mentioned when I was growing up bought me clothes with money they didn't have. They didn't feed me while their own kids went hungry. The guy who let us hang out at the youth center, he didn't run up his credit card to buy me glasses or shoes or a car. They gave of what they had. They gave of the time and talent they had available, and it blessed me. You know, there's a story in Acts, the 3rd chapter, where Peter and John are on their way to afternoon prayer. They come across a beggar who was lame, which meant he couldn't walk. He's begging for money. Peter tells him, "Silver and gold have I none, but such as I have, give I thee. In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, rise up and walk." Now, we often hear this preached in the context of believing in miracles or trusting God will meet our needs or how we should cherish miracles and bodily healing more than money. Now, those are all good points, but I want you to hear something woven very carefully in between these lines. Peter gave what he had to give. Peter didn't give what he didn't have. Peter didn't go get a credit card or borrow or take out a loan so he could buy the guy new legs or a wheelchair. He gave out of what he had, and there's no regret in Peter's voice. He knew he had something to be a blessing, and he gave freely of what he had. He didn't sit around feeling bad that he couldn't buy the guy a house or a car later or any of that stuff. He gave of what he had, and he moved on. If you are giving what you don't have, then you are borrowing from your future. You are not living according to biblical wisdom. Oh man, I feel it. This is not coming out as nice and loving as I want it to, but I'm saying this because I really, really care about you. And too many of us are giving what we don't have, and we're suffering for it later. If God wants you to give it, he will either put it in your hands or he will open up the door for the resources to arrive just in time. Man, there's so many other things I could talk about with this list, but this is actually getting pretty long, so I'm going to close it out here. If you are frustrated and feel like you're working so hard but getting nowhere, I encourage you to get in the Self-Image Rising class. Some of you have already taken it when it was formally branded as Self-Image Mastery, and I kind of felt like that was a little intimidating for some people, so we've morphed it into a hybrid class, which is called Self-Image Rising. I think that more accurately captures that this is a journey, not a destination. You can actually register for the class right now. You can find it in my online school, buildingwealthtogether.com, or you can type it in the short code rebrand.ly/self-image. That's all for today's Juice with JJ. Y'all take care and be blessed. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you subscribe at jjconway.org. Now go walk in abundance and leave a legacy.